Ladies and gentlemen, the talented young comedian of CBS Radio's Gary Crosby Show, Mr. Norm Alden.
Howdy.
Mr. Alden is here today to tell us an unusual story of love in Texas.
Yep, and I call it Sometimes It's Hard to Be a Gentleman.
Now, from Hollywood, Romance. Romance. Stories of love and adventure, of excitement and daring-do. Today transcribed, Sometimes It's Hard to Be a Gentleman, by William Froug. A story of love deep in the heart of Texas, starring Norm Alden as Spade Willoughby.
Howdy. My name is Spade Willoughby. It's really Samuel Houston Willoughby, but when I was in the Army, the fellows all called me Spade on account of most of the work they give me to do was involved with digging. Well, this all started some time ago down in Texas, and it sort of explains what I mean when I say sometimes it's hard to be a gentleman. My buddy Eddie Fuller and me own a little nightclub just outside of Waco. Bought it just after the war when folks was staying home nights on account of they'd been away so long. But after a couple of years, they got used to what was going on at home, so they started coming back to the nightclubs. And that's when E-Pod's Emporium began to do pretty good. E-Pod's Emporium is the name Eddie and me give the club. But that's another story. This particular night, I was doing my comedy routine for the customers. You know, telling jokes, and of course I was killing them. And when I'd finished and everybody was getting their breath, I meandered over toward the cash register. See, this here's my favorite place at the club. Well, I was walking over when I seen this beautiful little thing sitting in a booth all by herself and crying. Being a gentleman, naturally, I stopped. Beg your pardon, ma'am. Can I do something for you?
I don't reckon, sir.
You look plumb sore-eyed.
It's because I've been crying.
You want a handkerchief or something? Yours looks like it needs wringing out. Here.
Thanks.
Now what's eating you?
You're such a gentleman.
Well, you don't have to carry on about it, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, please sit down.
Don't mind if I do. Would you like a refreshment of some kind?
Well,
I can have the bartender fix up some ice-cold lemonade if you like. He makes it real good.
Well,
Might help you some, ma'am. Joe, you just have something cool. It settles you down.
Want something, Spade?
The little lady here wants a
Jack Daniels on the rocks.
Huh? Ma'am, we ain't allowed to serve hard liquor in Texas.
Oh, I know that. So I carry a little in my purse. It's a family remedy. It always stopped Daddy when he was on a crying jack.
Oh, yeah. Joe, bring the little lady a sit-up.
Okay, Spade, sure.
Well, I sure want to thank you, Mr.
Willoughby, ma'am. Spade Willoughby.
Oh, then you're...
That's right.
Well, I am mighty proud to know you, Mr. Willoughby. So dark in here, I wasn't sure. You're very funny. Must be wonderful to be a celebrity.
Oh.
I mean, honest to goodness, Mr. Willoughby. Everybody says you're the funniest man they know.
Really? Who?
Everybody.
Oh. Is that why you're crying?
Here you go.
For the lady.
Eddie wants to see you in the office when you got a minute, Spade. He said for sure.
Okay. Tell him in a minute.
Oh, now you go right ahead, Mr. Willoughby. I don't want to keep you from important business.
Oh, it can wait, ma'am. You was about to tell me what ails you.
Oh, you're not interested in little old me, Mr. Willoughby.
Well, if you don't want to talk about it...
Oh, I'd be mighty proud to tell you, Mr. Willoughby.
Don't fret yourself with it, ma'am.
My name is Lulu McQueen. I'm from Big Spring.
Big Spring, Texas?
That's right.
Well, put her there, partner.
Are you from Texas, too?
Well, of course. I lived just outside of Fort Worth most of my life.
Well, now, isn't that a coincidence?
Ain't no place like Texas.
Oh, there sure isn't. So I came to Waco to make my start.
Yeah?
I'm going to be in show business.
Really, ma'am? What branch?
Oh, any branch that'll have me, I guess.
Well, if you'll pardon me for saying so, ma'am, you sure got the equipment for it.
Really, Mr. Willoughby? You can call me Lulu.
I'm Spade. Everybody calls me Spade since I was in the Army.
Spade? Oh, that's a lovely name. Sort of poetic.
Well, never thought of it like that.
Spade, did it take you long to get to the top?
Top? Oh, not me. Someday maybe I'll go to California and try the movies or television, but ma'am, Lulu, I haven't even got my foot on the ladder yet.
Oh, you sure have. Around Waco, you're famous. And me, I'm just a little old nothing.
Oh, now there. You sure there ain't some way I can help you?
Oh, you don't want to hear about my troubles, I know.
Why, it'd give me pleasure. Joe, bring me a lemonade. On the rocks. And she poured out her heart to me. Poor little thing, sobbing, carrying on. Well, in a situation like that, a gentleman has got to help out. So I offered her a job as cigarette girl. You know, carrying around a tray with cigarettes and things on it for the folks. And, well, she was real pleased. In fact, she just couldn't wait to hurry home to tell her uncle. She was staying with him, and she wanted to tell him she's going into show business. As a matter of fact, I was kind of pleased myself. Only when I went back to the office and told my partner, Eddie, he said...
A mouse? You hired a mouse?
Now, Eddie, now don't get your dander
We
up.
got a 100% ironclad agreement between us. No more mice, and he goes and hires a mouse. I ask you, what kind of a partner is it does a thing like that behind your back?
Now, easy, Eddie, you're boiling over.
What about that sweet young thing from Fort Worth you hired last year? What happened? Go on, tell me.
She eloped with the bartender.
And 4 cases of 12-year-old scotch.
Well, I always figured it was kind of like a wedding present.
Ain't it customary to give the present, not have it stolen?
Besides, she weren't really from Fort Worth.
Huh?
She just lived in Fort Worth before she come to Waco. She's really from Ohio. Only we didn't know about that till later.
All right. What about Christmas before last when you got soft with that little old thing from Amarillo? Little? She was 6'1" if she was an inch.
Well, can I help it if her husband come back from overseas?
Spade.
Yeah, Eddie.
Sit down, Spade. Rest yourself.
Why, I ain't tired.
Just sit down a minute.
Okay. Really, I'm not a bit tired.
Yeah, look, Spade. We are old friends. We've been friends since way back.
1942, when we was shipped overseas in the same outfit. We've been friends 12 years.
You're 13 years. This is 1955.
Oh, yeah, sure it is.
And after the war, we pooled every dime we had, and we bought this crib.
Eatpot's Emporium. I always liked that name. Eatpot is dope spelled backwards. I made that up.
Yeah, I know. Now, look, you run the floor show and put on the acts, and me, I run a business end. I hire the waiters and pay the bills and worry about the tablecloths getting back from the laundry on time.
Say, that must be a problem. I never thought of that.
Yeah. And you go out there 3 times a night and make the customers laugh, and they tell their friends, and pretty soon we build up a clientele, right?
That sounds real good, Eddie.
Only every time you get involved with some mouse, we get trouble. Spade, will you please, for heaven's sake, keep your mind on your work?
But can I help it if I like girls? Now, girls is healthy. Girls is American. Gee, if I thought you didn't want to be my partner anymore...
Okay. There's no use trying to talk you out of it, I can tell. I spent too many years working up ulcers trying to penetrate that thick skull of yours, so I might as well save the indigestion right now. So you hired the dame, and heaven help us.
Oh, you're a buddy, you are, Eddie. You're a real buddy. And you know...
Know what?
I'm proud to call you partner. Hey, you can tell right away Eddie is a fine feller and a real friend. Only he has a hard time understanding us folks in show business. Well, the next night, Lulu McQueen come to work, and I gotta say this for her. She brought her own outfit. The way Lulu stood out in it would give anybody a fit. The more I saw of her, the more I realized what a smart thing I'd done. Why, do you know she even brought her uncle along the first night, and she introduced him to me.
And Spade, this is Uncle Morton.
Howdy.
How do you do, Mr. Willoughby?
Oh, shucks, you just call me Spade. All my friends do.
Well, thank you, Spade.
Uncle Morton would like to stay and see the show if it's all right with you, Spade.
Why, sure, the more the merrier, I always say. Ain't that right, Uncle Morton?
Why, I always say the same thing.
Well, you just stay with Spade, Uncle Morton, honey, while I go see if the folks need anything. Bye.
Lovely child. Lovely child.
Which side you own, Uncle Morton?
I beg your pardon?
You her mother's brother or her father's brother?
Why, well, I'm neither one. I'm just a close friend of the family. She's called me uncle since she was a little girl. Lovely child.
You see? Nice folks, one and all. Well, it was about 10 after 11 when I finished my first show. I went back to the office to tell Eddie how nice things was working out. Only when I got there, Eddie was too busy to notice me come in.
Yeah, that's right, Sergeant. E-Pod's Emporium out on Highway 17, about 3 miles out of town. Yeah, and step on it, will you, Sergeant? Thanks.
You calling up an old army buddy, Eddie?
Oh, Spade, I didn't see you come in. We got trouble.
I'm trying to remember if we had any sergeants now.
Spade, will you shut up and listen to me? The cashier just came back to the office. She was checking the till. There's $100 missing, Spade. I just called the police. We've been robbed.
We'll return to romance in just a moment. Don't miss the Woolworth Hour tomorrow in the daytime on CBS Radio. Percy Faith in the orchestra and your host, Donald Woods, will be joined by opera star Robert Merrill, by Dizzy Gillespie, by the Meadowlarks, and by Chris Connor, with a solid hour of what's new in music across the land. Don't miss it. The Woolworth Hour tomorrow, and every Sunday in the daytime on most of these same stations. And now for the second act of Romance.
Well, the police come and took Lulu McQueen and her Uncle Morton off to jail. And you know, it turned out that fellow wasn't her uncle at all. That's right. Then Eddie and me went into the office, and we had a quiet little talk.
Now listen to me, stupid. Once and for all, there is not going to be no more dames in this club. Not cigarette girls, not dancers, not waitresses, not nothing. Now, if the customers want to bring a dame with them, that's their business. But I don't ever want to see you walking in here with a doll. And if you do, you can look for another partner. You get the message?
Well, like I said, Eddie and me had a quiet little talk, and we decided there was to be no more females in our employ. For instance...
Spade, there's a lovely little redhead out front says she's your cousin from Waxahachie.
Tell her I'm in Alaska buying snowshoes.
No, she says she really is your cousin.
Tell her I went to Africa to learn to play the bongos. You see what I mean? Not one sweet young thing did we fraternize with for almost 7 months. I'll tell you, it'd like to kill me. That is, until one evening the following June. I was just finishing up my routine, and in spite of it was a warm night and there was a ball game the other side of town, we had almost a full house. And when I left the stage and wandered over to the cash register, it happened I had to pass a certain all-too-familiar booth. And do you know what? Oh, Texas save us. If it wasn't a mouse, she's sitting all alone. Lovely brunette hair, the prettiest and reddest blue eyes, and a little nose that was just barely stuck on her face. Now, you know I can't resist a crying woman, especially a pretty one. After all, it'd been 7 months. Beg pardon, ma'am. Can I do something for you?
Oh, no. No, thank you.
You look plumb sore-eyed.
Oh, no. No, please. I'm sorry.
Need a handkerchief or something?
Oh, no, thank you. Besides, I'm over it now.
Can I sit down?
Well,
Well, what's your story, ma'am?
Story?
I mean, about you crying and all.
Oh, I didn't mean to make a scene. I hope you'll forgive me. You see, I'm on my way to California and my car broke down. It's right next door at the filling station. The mechanic says I need a new fuel pump, and he has to order one from Dallas. But I've been transferred to Los Angeles starting Monday, and I just have to get there. I've been driving night and day to make it, so I suppose I was a little upset. I'm sorry.
Maybe you'd like a little refreshment, like a Jack Daniels over ice?
Oh, no. No, thank you. Perhaps if you had some lemonade.
Say that again. Well, yeah. Joe!
Yeah? Can I get you something? Spade?
The little lady would like an ice-cold lemonade, and as a matter of fact, so would I.
Now, Spade? Well, I mean, if Eddie was... If Eddie
get me
was...
some lemonade, Varmint.
Okay, Spade, it's your club.
I'd like to thank you, Mr.
Willoughby, Spade Willoughby.
Mr. Willoughby.
That name don't mean nothing?
Oh, should it? I mean,
Oh, skip it.
Oh, I have money, Mr. Willoughby. I certainly don't intend for you to buy my lemonade.
Well, now, see here, Miss...
Jane Taylor. I'm from Ohio.
Well, none of her answers was coming out right. So the way I figured, this here was probably the foxiest con artist of 'em all. Only she slipped up when she said she was from Ohio. That give it away. There was only one thing to do. Not let her out of my sight for one single minute.
It's certainly nice of you to walk me back to my motel, Mr. Willoughby.
My pleasure, ma'am. It's the least a gentleman can do. You staying at the Lone Star?
No, the little one right next to the filling station. The Crossroads.
Oh, I know the folks that run the Lone Star. Nice folks.
The man and his wife who own the Crossroads are both from Ohio. Isn't that a coincidence?
Folks that own the Lone Star is from Texas.
It's a small world.
How come you to drive to California by way of Waco?
I wanted to visit a girlfriend and her husband.
Oh, are they Texans?
No, they just moved here. He's a petroleum engineer. They're both from Ohio.
Strikes me you don't cotton much to us local folks.
Well, after all, I am a stranger here, Mr. Willoughby. I was just driving through.
Yeah, I guess that is right.
I think if I lived here, I'd like them fine.
Ma'am, you can call me Spade. My friends do.
All right. Spade.
Oh, she's a slick one, all right. You could tell by the way she looked up at you with them big, innocent blue eyes with the moonlight sparkling in them. But I was making progress. I'd found out where she was staying and what kind of friends she had. I didn't ask her if her uncle was driving with her. I was saving that for later. Meanwhile, I said good night in front of her motel and moseyed back to Epod's Emporium. This is going to take a lot of careful thinking and plenty of time. Funny thing, had a hard time sleeping that night. I kept seeing them silly-looking blue eyes and that little stuck-up nose, and, well, I figured it was the warm night. So the next morning, I just figured I might as well drop in on Miss Jane Taylor, who lived next door to the filling station. You never can tell. Walking in unexpected like I might learn something.
Well, Spade, good morning.
You up already?
Oh, I've been up for hours. Mr. Payne, the mechanic, was nice enough to loan me his car, so I went into town for a few things. Won't you come in for a cup of coffee?
Oh, thanks, ma'am. Borrowed his car, huh?
Yes, and there's good news, Spade.
What's that?
Well, Mr. Payne called a man he knows in Dallas, and it just happens that the man's driving to Waco today, so he's going to bring the fuel pump for my car. That means I can leave late this afternoon. Isn't that wonderful?
Wonderful? Well, yeah, it is.
Let me fix that coffee. You look all worn out. You Texans are such gentlemen, but I do wish you'd call me Jane instead of ma'am. Makes me feel so old.
You ain't old at all, ma'am. Jane. 5 years younger than I am, I bet.
I'm 27, almost an old maid.
You an old maid? That's foolishness.
Here you are. The Wilsons, they're the people who own the motel, loaned me their percolator and some coffee. Wasn't that sweet of them?
Wilsons? They're the ones from Ohio?
That's right. Only they claim they're Texans now. They love it here.
They love Texas?
Oh, yes, and I don't blame them. I've never met so many friendly people. Mr. Payne loaning me his car and calling that man in Dallas, and the Wilsons wanting me to be sure to have my morning coffee. And most of all, you, Spade. Last night when I was feeling down in the dumps, the way you lent me your shoulder and, well, showed me real understanding and sympathy. I think Texas is a wonderful place. Oh, excuse me. Yes? Yes, operator, this is Miss Taylor.
Well, I
Hello?
watched her talking to whoever
Yes,
it was, and right then I
Yes, sir,
realized
my
what
car
had kept
broke
me
down.
awake half the night. She was just
Yes, sir, I
plain
think
pretty.
I may be able to leave tonight.
And when her little old nose wrinkled when she talked, why, I could have plumb passed out from the lump in my throat. It was downright humiliating what was happening to me.
Well, thank you very much. I certainly appreciate it. Yes, sir. Thank you. Goodbye. Oh, that was my boss. I called him this morning when I was afraid I might be late.
Oh, my gosh, you ain't leaving now, are you?
Well, he told me I could take an extra day or two if I liked. Report on Wednesday.
You sure got a nice boss. Jane,
Yes, Spade?
don't go away.
Spade?
And that's the way it is, Eddie. This here is the real McCoy. This is it. This is something special. I can feel it all the way down to my legs.
Uh-huh. This mouse is different, is that it?
Yep.
Uh-huh. You meet her last night in the back booth where she is sobbing out her life story, and you fall for it like a side of beef on a meat hook. And you come in here with your eyeballs hanging out, and you expect me to forget every other different dame you've trotted in here in the past 13 years.
But, Eddie, I'm telling you...
Spade, listen to me.
Okay, Eddie.
Spade. When we was marching into Paris together, who was it kept the old man upstairs feeding him GI bourbon while you was downstairs in the wine cellar sipping cognac with a daughter?
You did, old buddy.
And who was it in Berlin gave that Fräulein's little sister 2 genuine American candy bars to get lost so you could go after the Fräulein?
You did, old buddy.
If I saved your life once, I saved it 100 times. Spade, I know you and dames. They're no good for you. I can't let you make this kind of mistake. You got to choose between us, Spade. Who blows? Me or the mouse?
You do, old buddy. Well, I reckon I set a speed record getting back to the Crossroads Motel. Jane Taylor was waiting. When Wednesday came around, she called her boss, and he gave her an extra week. And when the time come she had to go to California, well, I guess I did about the only thing a gentleman could do. I just packed up and went with her. After all, a married man's got to make a few concessions for his wife, like giving up Texas. And that's what I mean when I say sometimes it's hard to be a gentleman.
Romance was written and directed by William Frug. You have heard Sometimes It's Hard to Be a Gentleman, starring Norm Alden. Featured in the cast were Hy Averback, Shirley Mitchell, Barbara Eiler, Barney Phillips, and Parley Bear. This is Dan Cubberly, inviting you to hear Romance, transcribed next week at this same time. CBS News is on the job this minute, reporting, recording, researching the news. You can be sure of complete, accurate, and unbiased news reports when you get them from CBS Radio. Enjoy a complete evening of entertainment on CBS Radio tonight, and don't change your dial setting to keep up with the world, because on all its regularly scheduled broadcasts, strategically spaced between the entertainment programs, CBS News will be on the job. And if the news is big enough, CBS News will interrupt the entertainment to keep you informed. Stay tuned now for Gunsmoke, which follows immediately over most of these same stations.